You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
It's a great day when you can welcome a Hall of Famer, and we've got one. JR superstar, Jeremy Roenick. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Dan? And by the way, you talk about Hall of Fame. How about Hall of Fame hair? Both you and I are in the hair Hall of Fame right now.
I'm not going to lie. It's looking pretty damn good on both of us.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's one thing that we can be very proud of, right? Is our mane who does not go away. I love it. You look good, man.
You look great. Now, we've crossed paths in Fort McMurray, Alberta, Sochi, Russia, and in Halifax. And wouldn't you know it, you're back in Halifax right now.
Yeah, I am. Beautiful Halifax, beautiful Nova Scotia, land of Sidney Crosby and Nathan MacKinnon. Yeah, it's pretty awesome being back here. Obviously, for the big sports dinner here. It's the biggest dinner in Canada. 1,350 people will be there tonight. And we were here in 2010, had a blast, and having a blast again.
Yeah, they invited Jay and I back. That night, there was you, Robbie Alomar, Anthony Calvillo, Walter Gretzky, Jerry D. Who's there this year?
This year, it's the Biz Nasty and Wits, which obviously the Spittin' Chicklets are big draws. Yeah. And Tessa Bonhomme and obviously Rod Black running the whole ship. So pretty rowdy bunch this year.
Okay, Halifax is a good place to get rowdy. You go to the lower deck after the show. We know the program. That was also the event where I've spoken to Jerry D multiple times after. He said that was his best performance of his career, and we were there to witness it because he threw out his notes and just made fun of Walter Gretzky for 20 minutes.
Yeah, there were a couple uncomfortable moments there. There's no question about it. That was a lot of fun from what I remember. But again, I think I understand why I haven't been back in 15 years, because we had so much fun here last night. It's like now I understand. It's very tough on the sleep and tough on the liver.
Yep. So where are you calling home now when you aren't in Halifax?
So I live in San Diego. That's where my base is, but I spend a lot of time between San Diego and Chicago. I'm back and forth quite often, so kind of splitting up. I'll do about 220 days of travel this year, so it's really a lot of, usually the hotels or the planes are my home. So
San Diego, the rumor is 75 and sunny every day. Is that true?
It is true. We live in an ecosystem bubble that we don't mind paying the California taxes when we get the weather as good as we have it there. I'm a quarter of a mile from the beach. It's an amazing little nook that we live in, and it would be really hard to get me out of San Diego, to tell you the truth.
But the real question is, have you found enough golf courses to play there, or is it just as abundant as your previous places you've lived?
Hey, listen, I got my Del Mar Country Club. That's all I need, but there's lots of golf around, and I will find golf. I'll build my own golf course if I have to get in enough golf. That's how crazy I am about the game.
And how is the game right now? What's your handicap?
The handicap's a 0.3. It's pretty good. I think I played in Chicago for the first time of the year on Tuesday. Used somebody else's clubs, shot a 75. So not a bad way to start the season. I've been playing very, very well. Had a couple tournaments over the winter. And again, when you live in San Diego, there's no off season. You play all year round. The game's really strong right now.
And did I hear or did I read you did play a game against Michael Jordan?
I have played many games against Michael Jordan, some epic games, the legendary game where we played 36 and we powered down a bunch of Bud Lights, and he went on to score 54 points in a 20-win rout over the Cleveland Cavaliers in the last game of the season. That meant absolutely nothing, but he had to get his money back from me, which he did.
Have you played his course where it has the drones that drops off your food and beverage?
Yeah, I've seen it. No, I haven't been down to Florida too much as of the last couple of years. But I know Chelly's heading down there this weekend to play some golf. They're getting ready to close the course for remodel. So this is kind of the last weekend for the Grove. But maybe I'll catch it once it reopens.
I got to see you and Chelly's friendship in person when we were in Russia. You guys are really good buddies. Yeah. You were at our hotel as much as we were.
Yeah, well, the hotel was quite crazy during the whole weekend. Yeah. And I had 90 people in town that we pretty much took over the whole entire bar. But Chelly and I are very close. Yes, he is. I consider him my big brother. We see each other quite often, talk to each other even more, and to have him a part of my Hall of Fame weekend there was just magical for me. It couldn't have worked out better.
I want to pitch this to executives. You, me, Chelly return to Russia to see what state it is in now after the Olympics left that area.
Ooh, Sochi. Yeah, I hear it's kind of little rough right around the edges.
Well, there's probably dogs in all the hotels now.
Yeah, the dogs are still rummaging around there. What is it? 10 years later.
Who's the American player that brought back a bunch of dogs?
That
TJ
was
Oshie?
Kessler, Ryan Kessler.
It was Kessler.
Yeah, Ryan Kessler brought a bunch of dogs back. So,
wonder how those dogs have adapted. So we could also check in on the dogs. We had an open sewer in front of our hotel.
Oh, really? I tell you, if that wasn't one makeshift Olympic site, as fast as they could do it, that cost $50 billion. That probably really cost $5 million. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting Olympics to go to, the one in Sochi for sure.
And that was the last Olympics that NHL players were at.
That's correct. Yep, that was the last one. Which I'm glad they're going back. I'm in Italy next year. I'm glad they're going back, especially after watching that Four Nations tournament earlier this last month, and what that brought in terms of its excitement for hockey. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year in the Olympics. Wonder whether Russia will even have a chance to play, if they'll be involved in the Olympics or not. I hope they do. They hope they are.
So you saw the American team. What do they need to fix?
Well, they have to be healthy. I mean, that's one thing. I think in that final game versus Canadians, there was a lot of banged up bodies. Obviously, both Kachuks were pretty much banged up. Matthew only lasted half the game. Probably shouldn't even played in general. Not having McAvoy was a huge aspect to their defensive end, even though they got some great performances by some other defensemen. They just didn't have enough, especially to beat a team like Canada back-to-back games. There's even more guys that weren't on that team that will probably might have a chance for that Olympic team, whether it's Tage Thompson or, there's just Robertson. There's about 3 or 4 or 5 other guys that weren't on that team. Obviously Quinn Hughes will be on that team. They can get better, which makes it even more exciting to look forward to next February.
And you mentioned the health, so Auston Matthews, an integral part of that team, and the rumor is he still has lingering health issues. He's missed time this year. No one knows what's going on. What's your scoop? What's your intel on Auston Matthews?
You know what? When you have a nagging injury, and we've seen this in the past, you've seen Peter Forsberg with the nagging ankle. We see Landeskog with his knee issues. Just things that just seem to not be able to go away, and there's really never enough time to heal. And what the specific injury is with Auston Matthews, I don't think you're really going to know unless you're inside the locker room. From what I understand, obviously it is a hand wrist injury, which you use all the time, and it's really hard to put a part of the body like that to rest for a long time to heal. That's why I was a little worried about him playing in the Four Nations, is because, this is a good Toronto Maple Leafs team this year that we see. They're well coached. I think they're playing some good hockey. They had a big one against Colorado, another good one over the weekend. So, they're beating a couple of big teams as of late, which their confidence coming into the playoffs. You got to have a healthy Matthews. But, Matthews in Four Nations didn't score 1 goal, and that surprised me. So if he's lingering and obviously not at 100%, it doesn't bode well for the Leafs. But that kid, even at 70%, is better than 90% of the world players.
Maybe it's different now, but back in the day, if you heard a guy had a hand wrist injury, that guy's going to get a bigger injury to that hand or wrist going along.
There's no question. The old school is a little bit different mentality. It's kick somebody when they're down. You never wanted to have an injury come out before a game. I'll say back in the 90s, because that they'd be coming after you, slash into the hand, hitting you as much as they possibly can. It would intensify, 3, 4, twice full. But nowadays, it just seems that, I don't know. I don't think they really worry about that intimidation factor too much, or trying to get somebody out of it. They play a little bit just by the seat of their pants sometimes.
Jeremy, do you look at old tape and wonder how you're still alive, considering the hits that were legal back then?
It's funny, Dan. It's funny you say that because I don't watch something until somebody sends something to me. Like a friend will be like, "Hey, this just popped up on this feed," and they'll send me a video, and it'll connect to YouTube. And next thing you know, I am flying it, through the air, throwing my body into these giant, NHL athletes, and just at the speed that I would go and the recklessness that I had. And I'm like, yeah, I watched them like, oh my gosh. I said, I'm amazed that I can stand upright, that I don't have any lingering issues with my body. I'm very fortunate of that. But it really boggles my mind to believe that I hit that hard. I would not be able to play in this league today. I would get suspended weekly. There's no question about it.
So 1,300 games and no body issues.
No body issues. Like, obviously the knees are, they don't hurt, but when I wake up in the morning, I get up, it takes them a couple minutes before they loosen up.
That's just called old age, buddy. That's just called aging.
Exactly. My shoulders are good. I can still bench. I can still squat, a few hundred pounds. I can still run if I want to. I bike. The only thing I really by the way, I've never had a bad back, knock on wood, never, ever, which is crazy because they told me in the beginning of my career I was going to end up like Wendell Clark with a bad back the way that I played, hitting the way that I did, but I never, ever had a bad back. The only thing I worry about a little bit is the underlying issues with the concussions, that you never know what's going to happen once you get older. You've seen guys that reach a certain age and all of a sudden they deteriorate pretty fast. And I'm just praying and hoping that everything is okay up in the ticker, that will take me a while to take me out.
Yeah, I hope for nothing but the best as far as your brain goes as well, my friend. You don't end up with injuries, but you end up in the Hall of Fame. Growing up, did you ever dream that big?
No, never. And it's kind of funny because it was part of my first part of the speech. It's like when I was growing up and playing in the league, I never dreamed of the Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame never even entered my mind. It was all about winning a Stanley Cup. It's all about winning a gold medal. When I was 10 years old and the U.S. Olympic team won, and you had Al Michaels said, "Do you believe in miracles?" Well, I believed in miracles, but my miracles were winning a gold medal, being able to get to a Stanley Cup final. Then all of a sudden the Hall of Fame comes around, and it's just like it's a whole different mentality of a feeling and an aspiration. And I think that's why it was so hard for me for 12 years, wondering what's going on. Is this ever going to happen? Until last year, where I really put it out of my mind and I stopped worrying about it. And you stop worrying about things, talking about things, and put good juju in the universe, and look what happens.
Now, when the call comes, do they give you a heads up? Like you should be around your phone. How does it happen? Does it catch you out of the blue?
No, I literally came out of the gym. I came out of a spin class. I'm soaking wet and I'm getting ready to go into a Starbucks drive-through line. I see a missed call from 416 and I call it back, Dan. And it's like, welcome to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Press 3 for tickets, press 4 for, for tours, all that crazy stuff. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, what date's today? I'm like, it's end of June 25th. I'm like, that's Hall of Fame announcement time. And I got all nervous. And about a couple minutes later, I order my coffee, and then I'm waiting in line. My phone rings, and it's a 416 again. And I kind of lose my breath. I kind of get a little nervous. My palms start sweating, and I answer it. It's Mike Gartner, and he goes, "Hey, JR, it's Mike Gartner and Laney McDonald." And I went, "No, it's not. No, it's not. You're lying. It's not you guys." And he's like, "It's us, JR." And it's like, then all of a sudden the floodgates opened. I couldn't talk. I was totally taken aback. And, I was at a loss for words. And we had a great little back and forth for about 5 minutes. And I think I scared the hell out of the barista though, because he thought something really happened in my car. Because I was like ridiculously sobbing in my car. So he was like hoping I was okay.
You were in the drive-through.
Yeah, I was in the drive-through. And then once I got my coffee, once I realized that I have to grab my coffee, that I have to pay for my coffee, which it took me a couple minutes to do. I drove away from the window and I stopped the car. I put it in park and I screamed. at the top of my lungs, right? And I said, F in rights. It's about time. And I was just like, that was my big pat on the back for myself.
Did you tell the barista? Did you say, by the way, I just got into the Hockey Hall of Fame?
I think that would have been, I could have said it to him in Russian and it would have meant just the same.
Who was the first person you called?
So my wife obviously was the first person I called. She was on the back of her horse and she was riding her. Actually, the phone was in her pocket and I FaceTimed her. And I called her, told her to, get on the FaceTime. And she was really worried because I was crying and all that stuff. So she was really scared of what I was going to say because you never know what I'm going to say in that situation. And I told her and she started crying. She yelled to all of her team that, what had happened. And then I called my son and he started crying. I called my daughter and she's like, yeah, I knew you were going to make it. No big deal. And then my fourth call was Chelly. And Chelly was my fourth call. And, obviously going right to the question, Chelly, you got to be on stage with me, giving me that plaque because that would mean the most to me. And it was all uphill from there. So
you were in a car, your wife was on a horse, was your daughter in a boat and your son on a train?
No, my daughter was on her horse and my son was in his office. Right. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Yeah.
So there was only one person who was standing on firm ground.
And I don't know where the hell Chelly was, as most people don't really know either.
He was probably in Malibu, the Malibu Mafia.
Yeah. Or he was on a paddleboarding somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, before we let you go, I like to ask everyone, we had Frank Catalanato, former Blue Jay, on the other day. His pregame meal was a chicken, a banana, and a Red Bull before every game he played.
Wow.
JR Superstar, your pregame meal was?
Pregame meal was penne pasta. It was pesto with chicken. And my wife always made one of the best garlic breads. So that would be my favorite pregame meal. Then I would wake up. I would have an English muffin with peanut butter and honey as a snack. And then always before I stepped onto the ice, literally 5 minutes before, I would eat an entire Kit Kat bar before I went on the ice.
Love it. English muffins with peanut butter are big.
And by the way, a lot of coffee in between.
Oh, yeah, of course. Put butter before the peanut butter on that English muffin, takes it to a new level.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Put that
JR, say hi to everyone in Halifax for us, and you're the best, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Danny. Great to see you, buddy.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.